Hi everyone, my name is Colin and welcome to Power's Veterinary Experience. Today I want to take a little bit of your time to talk to you about some vaccines. Now, all these vaccines I'm going to be talking about are going to be directly related to your canine. But the reason I wanted to take the time to talk to you about this specific subject is because in my time of working in a small animal clinic on a more day-to-day basis before school started, I always noticed that when I would pull a client in to discuss with them what they wanted their pet to receive, I'd run through the list and I'd say, do you want, in my state we require rabies, but I'm like, would you like distemper? Would you like leptospirosis, bordetella, Lyme? There's other vaccines too, but those are just to name a few. And at times people would look and say, well, what is that? I don't know what that is. And so I found myself educating others, and we in the field of veterinary medicine, we never want to make anybody feel bad. We are here to help you learn, and to keep you informed. So please don't ever feel bad or ashamed that, if you need to ask us to clarify something. That's what we're here for, and that's our job, and that's what fulfills us. That's what makes us happy. So please ask away. That's exactly what this entire channel is predicated on. But before I do continue, I do want to say that when it comes down to vaccines, this channel is not here to make anybody feel bad. It's not here to guilt trip anybody into making sure their animals have certain vaccines that are not legally required. I'm just here to simply educate you on some symptoms and how animals can contract some of these viruses and bacterial infections. But I am not going to think any less of you to not get any extra vaccines that your state does not mandate, or I won't think any more of you if you do. This is just purely educational. So without further ado, let's get into it. So our first one we have is going to be rabies. And rabies actually attacks the central nervous system. And so this virus can be transmitted through other dog bites and canine bites, but another way that's contracted that several people, sometimes regular lay people, don't realize is actually through the saliva. If you have, let's say, an open wound on your skin, then in the saliva from an infected animal that has rabies gets on that open wound, then you can actually contract rabies, because all mammals can contract rabies. Some symptoms are going to be excessive amounts of drooling, aggression, and in our wildlife, some animals, if they have rabies, have been noted to keep a closer proximity to humans. So they change their behaviors. Let's say an animal was keeping their distance. They look at you from afar and they kind of run away. And then if animals start coming closer to you, that's just been noted that they might. There are obviously much more symptoms that go into it, and not all animals that approach you outside are going to have rabies. That's not true, but that was just something to keep your eye out for. So anyway, we're going to move on to the other two, and these two are very closely related. So we have distemper and parvo. Now, distemper is a very contagious virus, and it's going to affect your gastrointestinal, respiratory, and even your central nervous system. Now, it's actually going to be spread through particles in the air, so some areas have a higher infection rate. It depends what area you live, and I'm going to try to find a map to see if I can put that in my description. So if you're worried about distemper, you can look and see if your area is known for having distemper around it. I'm also going to be putting in all the state regulations for vaccines, because each state's different, and I do not remember all 50 states. I remember my own, but I do not believe it's fair for me to state my own, because I do not want to make anyone feel that they have to stick by my state's regulations and my state's only. But if I could help anybody, I will. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put down state regulations in my description below, so there'll be a link to that. And if I can find one for distemper, I will add that as well. But to continue, some symptoms of distemper are going to be your fever, coughing, vomiting, seizures, and even paralysis in some of the worst cases. Now, parvo is also very closely related, but they are not the same thing. Parvo is also extraordinarily contagious, and it affects the gastrointestinal system. And it's going to be spread through direct contact to surfaces. So if, let's say, the dog's leash or collar, it might have parvo on it, then dog could contract parvo, or the bowl even. So it's something to keep our eyes out for. Some symptoms of parvo are going to be vomiting, fever, and being very lethargic. And so the next one I'll like to take the time to talk to you about is going to be leptospirosis. Now this is actually going to be caused by the leptospirosa bacteria, or leptospira. It's kind of late, I can tell I'm mispronouncing bacteria now. And so how dogs and canines can contract this is by actually drinking water outside that other animals and rodents have urinated in. Now, some symptoms of leptospirosis could be muscle weakness, being lethargic, and some of the worst cases, kidney and or liver failure. And now, my last one I want to cover is Bordetella/kennel cough, and it's a mixture of viruses and bacteria. And the way this is contracted is through direct contact with other canines who already have the kennel cough. And a direct symptom that we can see is this really dry, heaving, kind of honking bark. It's very noticeable. It's kind of like if you lose your voice and you start coughing, and it's a very dry, raspy bark. And so that could be a symptom of your kennel cough or Bordetella, and it's something to keep your eyes out for. And that's going to conclude some of the vaccines and some of the viruses and bacterial infections I will be talking about. If you have any questions, if you would like me to dive further in depth, if there's something I missed, if there's something you want me to talk about, like heartworm or roundworm or Lyme, please put down in the comment below that you would like me to talk about that. But anyway, this is going to conclude my video. Remember, knowledge is power. Try to learn something new every single day that you can. And until next time, all right, take care, everybody.